27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do. Who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom. And welcome to Rambo and Friends. Happy Thursday edition. As you guys have come to know the last few weeks when we're able to do shows on Thursdays, it is the hangout of Eye the Storm with Joe Rambo, right? I'm just going to put it out there. Abs and Stormy Patriot Joe have been gracious enough to come over here on their free time, which happens to be their weekend, right? So please do me a favor and show these guys nothing but gratitude, because they don't come over here because they're like, you know, making a bunch of money or doing anything for themselves. They literally come over here because they want to hang out with you and me. So I just want them to know that it means the absolute world to me, and especially with the world melting down the way it is. These two's perspective on the things that are going on right now are just about second to none. Now, with that being said, they aren't second to none, because tonight I will be on I will be on News Treason with Dave. So we actually recorded yesterday because Dave keeps coming over here and my schedule sucks ass, excuse my language, but it does. So we recorded a show yesterday morning. Now, he already had Mike King lined up for last night, so that show will air tonight over on News Treason. I will be putting the links in all of my social medias. Please go over there and check that out, because the show was a blast. It was an absolute blast. It was the first time I did a show without a, an audience, without a chat, without being able to interact. But I will tell you, it was a really cool atmosphere because we were able to focus on the content, hang out with each other, and have a really good time. So please go over there and check that out tonight. Now, with that being said, Stormy Patriot Joe is out working on his car. I think he plans on being here. But for right now, we're going to go back to the original, the first time that we did this, which was just me and Abs completely just hanging out, which means the world to me. Just like everything else, I'm looking for the boss so that we can introduce him. Here he is. Let's get this thing started.
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
Absolute 1776. How much sleep did you get, dude?
Some. Some.
I haven't slept yet.
Yeah, I took a nap.
Dude, I went to work last night at I left the house at 4:30 in the afternoon, and it was my third night in a row after doing about 25 days in a row. And when I got home, I was like, man, we were really busy at work. I don't have the content. I know there's a lot going on. And I sat on my bed, and 2 hours later, I jumped up like with my neck kinked. I'm in like pain right now. Are you the same type of deal?
I'm completely numb and apathetic at the moment. Like, I've reached that stage of tired, and I'm just kind of like floating along, halfway delusional, but I'm here, man.
Well, please tell your wife, and this goes for you too, that everybody at Rambo and Friends has been thinking about you guys, and I've been highly encouraging everybody to come over and check out your show. If you guys haven't heard me say that yet, you absolutely need to go watch Eye of the Storm. I watch it typically on replay. I stop in as I can because my work schedule sucks, but you guys are killing it, bro. Killing
Thank
it.
you,
I can't
brother.
believe how much you're like. I've never seen a show be able to read the drops and predict the future as much as you guys have been doing. The missile thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, the missile thing and the Diddy thing are two things that I'm kind of a little stoked about. Not necessarily stoked. I'm stoked in the sense that those are two things that we called way ahead of time on the show that are happening, and people are like, "How do you do that?" Me and Joe reply, "We read the drops. We pay attention to the drops and go where they take us." And so that's where that stuff has come from. The Diddy thing, dude, I said a year ago when the first allegations started coming out of him before he'd even been arrested. I said on the show, watch this. It's going to lead up to Epstein. Just watch. And I took a lot of shit for that at the time. No, they'll just sweep it under the rug. Doesn't look like they're sweeping this shit under the rug, folks. As a matter of fact, the lawyer trying Diddy is not one of their guys at all. He's not even close to one of their guys. He's donated to Donald Trump before. He's the same lawyer going after Deshaun Watson, representing 21 women who are accusing him of sexual assault. He's the same lawyer that filed a lawsuit against Travis Scott after the Stampede deaths at the concert in Houston. This dude is not one of their guys. If they were going to be sweeping the Diddy shit under the rug, they'd have popped one of their guys on the case. This dude ain't one of their guys. I think they're screwed. I think the Diddy thing is going to lead to a lot more. And he even said that the other day. He said, we're going to be releasing the names soon. And you just know, look, Joe, you've researched this shit, been down the rabbit holes like I am. You know some of the names that are about to come out. It's going to be earth shattering.
Well, I mean, just look to Twitter, right? Not exactly this, the storm is upon us. It's not that, but seriously, look to Twitter right now. How many accounts have just deleted their content or just straight up deleted their accounts? It's an absurd amount. It's no coincidence. That doesn't just happen.
Right. But at the same time, it's like nothing's ever truly deleted either. And if you think that, you're woefully naive. You can try to delete whatever you want. It's still there.
Just in case you all aren't aware, Elon Musk absolutely posted that X is not just a social media platform, but it's a crime scene.
Right. Because there were private DMs, there were private groups, there were things where they were chatting, believing that they were being protected by Twitter. And that's part of the reason why I posit that Jack Dorsey is part of all this. And Jack Dorsey ain't the devil a lot of people think he is. Jack Dorsey made it possible for these people to feel that fucking comfortable on Twitter. And then Jack Dorsey made it possible for Elon to buy Twitter in the first place. So there's a lot with him, man. He's involved a lot with Bitcoin as well. I'm pretty sure he had the one deal where he's got the picture of him reading the satanic verses, and that's actually not a satanic book. That's exposing Satanism and talking about how to defeat it. So it's like, they could come out tomorrow that Jack Dorsey's one of them dudes been on our side the whole time, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Conversely, come out tomorrow, Jack Dorsey's a piece of shit black hat, and I'd be like, makes sense. Basically, what I'm saying is whatever role that dude is playing, he's played it fucking perfectly.
Well, he's not the only one. You got Pence. You got. We could run a list of people that might fall into that category.
Right.
You know what I think? I just saw somebody say Captain Kyle just put out the Diddy list. Look, I love Captain Kyle. I'm not going to come out here and hate on anybody that I think is out here doing great work. I believe the quote unquote white hats, the good guys, the patriots that might be in control. I believe that what we're watching, Abs, is a list being formed so that it can be tried in the court of public opinion. I think this ties all the way back to Epstein. I think this ties into the Clinton Foundation. I think that it's all going to connect in some way, shape, or form. It can't possibly not, in my opinion. So what I think, everybody got all upset about, where we're not seeing this list or we're not seeing that list, or now, we've gotten this list or there's this flight log, or look, the process is taking place, in my opinion, for a reason. And that reason is because crimes against children will unite all of humanity.
Yep.
There was a part of me, Abs, that thought, no, look, I trust the drops and I love the drops, but that one just doesn't make sense to me because people think with their wallet, and most people can't comprehend the true crimes that have been committed against these kids. So most people won't ever buy that. I just couldn't see. I didn't have the vision to understand. But the more this process goes on, the more I realize, OMG, the drops were right. I should have trusted the plan the whole time.
Yeah, and I'll remind folks too that any sort of master list, flight log list, client list, none of that shit's going to be released if it's being used in ongoing investigations. Period. Right. End of story. Point blank. So give up that pipe dream. Anybody releasing lists at this point saying they have the list is probably doing so for clickbait. I don't mean that to throw shade at anybody at all. I've just not seen any list, and I'm fairly certain the reason we haven't seen the list is because they're being used in investigations. You and I have talked about it over here before, man. Go look at the list of people arrested for trafficking and sex crimes and pedophilia since Donald Trump took office. These are all people that it's not like they just started doing this shit when Donald Trump took office. Okay, your Nygaards, your Brunels, Weinstein, Maxwell, Epstein, Diddy, R. Kelly. These people were doing this shit for decades before Donald Trump came onto the scene in politics, right? Meaning there were plenty of presidents before Donald Trump that had the power, that had the information, and had the tools available to begin going at this and ending it. They didn't. They didn't end it all. Instead, they were sending emails about hot dogs and pizzas and continuing to carry on at these parties. But it was when Donald Trump comes in office that all of these people begin to fall. But tell me more about how he's one of them, because it seems to me that he infiltrated them, figured out what they were all doing, and then started wielding the sword as soon as he got the power. And we're still seeing that. And so if you want to see the list, pay attention to the names that are getting arrested and going up to trial for this shit. That's the list. I got to feel it. It's all about to break loose on that front, man. Why did Hillary randomly bring up Pizzagate the other day?
Right.
She wasn't even provoked to do it. She wasn't even asked a question about it, bro. She just went on a fucking rant and ended up at Comet Pizza and Pizzagate and child trafficking and human trafficking and pedophilia and saying none of it is real. Why? Unless you're trying to get out in front of something, or unless white hats told your ass to sit up there and fucking say it because they're about to drop the hammer on all of it.
Or unless you want to get really woo and consider that Hillary Rodham Clinton has already been taken care of. I'm not saying that it's real. I'm just saying what my brain does, bro. Hillary Rodham Clinton was put into that van on the 9/11 Memorial Day, and the drops told us some things very, very early, very, very early, like the very beginning, right? So I can't help but think that we're watching. I don't know about replay. I don't know about controlled presentation, but I think it comes full circle to that. I truly do. And with Hillary doing things like that, it just feeds into the way my brain works. It just does.
And she's wearing a purple suit when she says all this shit too. It's like I just don't think that's a coincidence, man. I don't think it's a coincidence that she just comes out of nowhere and says that, and then you've got the day after she says that is when the attorney against Diddy said, we're going to be releasing all these names. We're going to be telling who all was involved. And so does it come out before the election? Does it come out right near the election? I don't know, but I think it's coming. I think the public has been primed, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. No sauce, no facts, nothing. This is one of those gut things, right? I don't think the port strike has all to do with wages and automation either. Now, at the same time, I'll say this. I'm also not buying the reports you're seeing of some of these guys walking around saying, I've heard kids banging in the fucking containers. And no, if you've heard kids banging in how come there's not one audio recording of this is all I'm saying. Everybody has a phone these days. If you've heard it, clearly there's an audio recording. I'm not going to completely dismiss that, but I'm not going to put it in the that's what's going down file either. That said, we've seen so many comms around this guy for the ILA. We've seen so many comms from this with Trump. We've seen how many of the mainstream pictures talking about the port strike just randomly have pictures of evergreen containers as the stock photo, right? It's almost like every one of them. The stock photo they're using is evergreen. Okay?
We are so on the same page, bro. I can't wait to get into this.
I just think there's more going on with it than wages and automation, bro, especially the timing. If it was a year ago, I'd have been like, yeah, this is all about wages and automation, bro. But a month before the election, no.
We just did the show the way I have it laid out in reverse. Hold on. Let me say thank you, because there's some really big appreciation going on over here. You guys, I see you. So first and foremost, your boy Death was the first one today to drop a cookie over on pill.net. The Storm is easily the best show on Badlands, in my opinion. Your boy Death, don't tell John I said this, but I agree. And over on Rumble, you guys are on fire this morning. So S4956S is now a monthly supporter. That is a very hard name to say. You should change that to like Jill or something, so, or John, whatever it might be, so I can say it easier. But thank you so very much for the bit to turn into a monthly supporter. Thank you. That means the world. Anti-AJV with $147 Rumble rant. I think that might be the record for this show, Abs. Good morning,
awesome,
gentlemen. Please get some sleep. I care too much. Dreams need to sleep too. Love you guys, Auntie. Do you know Auntie?
Yes. They comment, or they've left rants over on Eye of the Storm before, man.
Yeah, that means the world. Thank you so much. And Handmade is also now a monthly supporter. Raising Conservatives, $10 Rumble rant. Love y'all. And News Treason. There's Dave. You're watching the best in the business here. Boom. So Dave sent me something just before the show, Abs. I'm going to tease it right now. I'm just going to tease it because I'm going to try to hold it to see if Joe shows up. If Joe doesn't show up, we're still doing it. I'm going to tell you right now. But it has to do with the name Cassidy Hutchinson.
Mm-hmm.
Cassidy Hutchinson is in the drops, and I know that you guys, you and Joe, have used her name in some proofs. Well, Cassidy Hutchinson's very pretty face, as you and Joe have both told me.
Yeah, she's not ugly.
Yeah. Well, she's back on camera.
It's my joke. That's how I said, you know, she's a white hat conservative plant. She's far too attractive to be a liberal.
It's so funny that you said that, because I talked to you and Joe separately, and Joe said, if you talk to her, tell her to DM me. John,
I don't blame him.
Bonzo with a $2 Rumble rant. You dudes are great. Chris Paul, our moderator, is an awesome member of the Badlands media. All right, hat tip.
It's funny because I'm over here I was over here in the Badlands chat before this show, chatting with Chris Paul. G had dropped a link in there that there's a new documentary coming out on HBO, guys. HBO claims to know who Satoshi is. Claims to know who came up with Bitcoin and who created it. The same way that HBO claimed to know who authored the Q drops, which they said was Jim Watkins and Ron Watkins, which we know isn't the truth.
No.
So we were talking about that HBO Q documentary, and Chris Paul comes over the top. So don't forget about the little retard in the wheelchair. Because he's right. It's not that I'm trying to bag on the kid, but if you're going to take part in some COINTEL slide operation like that Q documentary on HBO and say that you were a part of it, I'm going to go ahead and take my shots at you, buddy. Sorry.
Hey, I got to tell you this, Abs. There's two shows I have where my following has asked me to start a swear jar, and they said that I don't ever call you out. I just feed into it, and I do it too. So JF Anon and you, I'm supposed to start a swear jar for it so that I can get rid of one of my sponsors.
You'd probably be good after me with an episode, man, especially today. I said before the show, I'm feeling particularly salty today, so I don't know that my language will be very... I'll try to... I've gotten a lot better about it on Eye of the Storm. I haven't said F word or any dirty words on Eye of the Storm in a hot minute, save for shit, but I got to get better about it. That's the cross I bear. That's like my thing as a Christian. I've got to get better with my language, but
I'm not good at it either, especially if we start... you start feeling like you're hanging out with the boys.
You work in a foundry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up in locker rooms and kitchens, dude. I try.
Yeah. Well, the comment that made me say something was not even that much of an older lady, but a mature woman who was making cornbread in her kitchen, and she had the grandkids flopping around, and because we're 1 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast, you know what I mean? And if you're any further west than that, it's even earlier. So a lot of these people are up and dealing with kids. So I'm trying to be respectful of that, because the last show got brutal. I gave everybody a warning because we played a clip that was like the worst language you could think of. right? And she mentioned, she was like, just do better. And I was like, that's legit. I understand, especially if you got grandkids rolling around on the floor. So it's just been like a small goal of mine to make sure that we respect that, because real's real, but respectful is respectful at the same time. That's all. Right. So I want to ask you about this before we get into content, dude. You're in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
I'm just gonna set you free. What is going on, dude?
I'm having issues with this one, man, because there's a lot of folks positing that white hats controlled this one, whatever. Black hats controlled it, whatever. The storm was controlled. I'll tell you that right now. I've lived here my entire life. We've dealt with plenty of hurricanes in North Carolina. There's a reason our NHL team is called the Hurricanes. It's because we're not foreign to hurricanes in North Carolina, even as far inland as Charlotte. Because you can think as far inland as Charlotte, but Charlotte's only 180 miles from the coast. That's not very far when talking about a storm that's 700-800 miles across, right? However, when they come up from the Gulf Coast, they're usually petered out by the time they get up here. It's usually at best a tropical depression, a lot of rain, tiny bit of wind, nothing really to write home about. I've never in my 42 years of living here seen a hurricane come up from the Gulf Coast and still maintain hurricane force winds as far north as Atlanta and even further north than Atlanta. That is not natural, period. Me and Barbara were watching the radar basically all night because we were getting hammered here in Charlotte, so we were trying to keep up with it. The eye wall kept reforming. The eye kept reforming in this perfect little circle and tightening back up. It got right outside of Atlanta. The eye wall tightens right back up and the hurricane strengthens again. For those playing the hurricane, or for those playing the home game, usually hurricanes have to be out over open water to strengthen. That's how they strengthen. Land doesn't play into that factor. And so there was a weather report the day before it landed that this meteorologist was basically crapping himself. So I've never seen a setup like this. The air is so saturated. There's no wind shear to come over the top of it. And basically, there's nothing to slow this thing down. There is nothing to weaken this hurricane. And that immediately struck me as, huh? What are you talking about? It's going to be going over land. It doesn't necessarily need anything to weaken it. And so it got up this way, and Charlotte got hit pretty hard, not nearly as hard as the western part of the state. There was maybe 75% of Charlotte was without power for about 24 hours. And then by the end of the weekend, it was pretty much all back. There was some tree damage and stuff. There was flooding pretty close to Charlotte. There's a bridge on I-85 that goes over the Catawba River heading toward Mount Holly. And that bridge was maybe 5 feet away from being overtaken with the water from the Catawba River. And I've never seen that before my entire time living down here either. And so when you're talking about the western part of the state, man, I know people that have been up there helping. I know people that have been up there trying to help. I know people that lived up there and had to leave. It's not fake. The stories aren't fake. There's thousands and thousands of missing people. There's linemen trying to put power back that are reporting seeing bodies in trees from the water level being so high. The bodies get caught in the trees and just stay there as the water recedes. There's kids wandering around half naked looking for their dead parents in streets. There's towns that are completely washed away. There's stories coming in, and I can't verify one way or the other, so I'm not going to jump off the deep end and say these are true, but there are stories coming in from people saying that the federal government saying Chimney Rock and Blowing Rock are gone. They're going to bulldoze the towns and it's done. You can't move back in. Is it me, or is it sounding a lot like Maui, except in the mountains in North Carolina? And there are all kinds of reports that there are just vast lithium mines underneath that section of North Carolina, underneath Asheville, underneath Blowing Rock, underneath Chimney Rock. Again, I don't know how true that is, but I'm not going to rule it out. And it's also not lost to me. I don't know if you're aware of this one, dude. There's a town in North Carolina called Spruce Pine. And Spruce Pine, North Carolina, is exceptionally important to the United States. And I'll tell you why. Because all of the high-quality quartz that is mined in the United States that's used for semiconductors and chips comes from Spruce Pine, North Carolina. Spruce Pine, North Carolina is underwater right now. There's no mining going on for semiconductors in this country at the moment. So there's a lot of issues here that it could be really bad, but I said to you before the show too, man, and I'm not meaning to hit on any of my folks in the western part of my state. Like, I love my state. My heart's heavy right now. But if you live in North Carolina and you've been out to that part of the state, you're well aware that there are some of the towns out there that are completely dark and occult. There are some towns out there like Asheville. I don't mean to throw you under the bus. I apologize for the innocent souls out there, but Asheville is a dark effing city. It is full of occult and black magic and all of that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, man. I don't know who controlled the storm. I don't know for what purpose. all I know right now is there is tons of death and destruction in Western North Carolina that ultimately the federal government is completely ignoring right now and telling these folks, we got no money to send you. But last week they sent billions more to Ukraine. You know, like they can give all the illegal immigrants thousands of dollars in credit cards and phones, but all they've got for North Carolina residents who just lost everything is $750. Get out of here. So that's, to me, the overarching thing right now, at the very least, is folks are seeing how terrible it is, how the federal government doesn't give a damn, how they're not getting any help, and how Americans are again getting left out in the dust because of this administration. So from that aspect, I'm thankful that at least people are seeing it and waking up to it and getting angry about it, because they should. They're again, another American community has been decimated by a natural disaster that the government's doing nothing about, just like Maui, just like the California fires. It's unreal, man. The level of destruction over there is unreal. I mean, this is an area of the state me and Barbara have been in plenty, dude. We've taken vacations up there. I went there plenty as a kid. It's all shut down. The roads in Western NC are still shut down. The Blue Ridge Parkway, for those of you who love driving that during the fall, that's going to be shut down this year. So that's done. I mean, it's utter destruction, dude. It's I've never seen anything like it. And I was about to get onto that place. And this is why I can't rule anything out. That place was inundated with water and smashed too. And that place is, if you're in and on, you know all about the Biltmore estate, specifically that pool down there. So, you know, where do you go with this, man? What do you say? Like, what angle is it? Because I understand there's a lot here to unpack. I understand there's a lot of reasons for it to have gone either way. You know, I'm a big believer that as much control as the good guys have, I'm also a Christian, and I've read the Bible, and I understand that Satan has control over this dominion until Jesus Christ returns. As such, moves and counter moves are going to happen, and evil people can still do evil stuff. That's just my belief. Do the evil people have the control anymore to do something this big? I don't know. I don't think they do. So I don't know.
I want to say I didn't show this because I want to feed into the conspiracy theory, especially when people start saying that this is potentially a white hat operation. Look, I do not have that mindset. That's not what I believe. I'm only showing it because I do understand why people's minds are going certain places. That's all. Because that is super interesting.
And I know, living here as well, you know, you hear the stories, you do the research. Number one, the entire western part of this state is owned by the Pesor family, the land and everything anyway. Okay, that's relevant to take note of.
Relevant.
Number two, it's not a myth. It's not made up that there are tunnels and catacombs all over the mountains in North Carolina. I'm not saying that this is playing a role into that, or that white hats would have sent a storm up there to shut all that down while still killing thousands of people. I'm not saying that shit at all. I'd find that very hard to believe, as a matter of fact. But what I am saying is that if a certain area has been steeped in darkness long enough, and there's a lot of evil, sick shit going on there that people don't know about, when God decides it's time to smite something, it will get smoten, no matter what. So, you know, I had somebody say to me, well, how could you say this could have been a God smiting thing? There were plenty of good people there. And I said, yeah, there were good people in Sodom and Gomorrah too. But when it was time for them to get smote, they got smote. And I'm not, again, I don't know what happened, man. I'm literally, when I come on your show, I think out loud, and I'm talking out loud and trying to come to conclusions out loud. So I'm not positing one thing one way or another. Just for the record, I'm not saying it was black hats. I'm not saying it was white hats. And I'm not even saying it was God. For right now, all I know is a major storm hit. A lot of people are in the craps because of it. A lot of people's lives have been turned upside down. So we have to look after the fact. What happens after the fact will lean you toward the entity that probably was behind it. And it's just, it's almost surreal, man, you know, to wake up every day and still see these pictures rolling in, you know, getting away from conspiracies or what may have been behind it. It's also not lost on me. If you want to go with the black hat angle, potentially moves, counter moves, all that. And again, I don't necessarily know that I buy this one, because I don't necessarily believe they have that kind of power. But at the same time, you know, we have all the Diddy shit popping loose, and all these people are about to be named, and these lists are about to come out. And then this thing happens in North Carolina. Was it a hit back from the black hats? Was it a counter move from them to try to come over the top of the Diddy stuff? I don't know. I don't rule it out. I don't necessarily think it was, but I don't rule it out either. And sometimes stuff just happens. I don't think this was one of those cases, though, because watching the track of the storm and everything with it, this storm didn't just happen. It wasn't just natural. It didn't just do what it did and follow the path that it did. So I don't know, man. I'm going to be doing a lot of thinking out loud on this one. You're going to have to watch and see what happens after the fact, but it's terrible.
I don't think you even meant what you just did as a compliment, but I'm going to take it that way because that's what I want this platform to be, is us to be able to speak out loud, and do it freely and respect each other for our opinions and work through things together. That's the whole idea of this show. So that means the world. So now that we did the whole show in reverse, just with conversation, I would like to go through and I'm gonna, I got a few hot button topics, right? I'd like to talk about the debate. I'd like to, talk about the flood. I'd like to talk about Diddy. I'd certainly like to talk about Jack Smith, as I think that's very interesting, and of course the strike. Right. So that's kind of my intention. And then Cassidy Hutchinson before we get out of here, because that was something very late, right before the show, that Dave sent me. So let me real quick go through, and I think everybody's caught up as far as support. Now, while everybody's piled in here at this point, if you could, it means the world to me. And I have no problem doing this because the show's so young. I'm sure I'll stop doing this as it continues to grow, but I don't mind whoring for likes. Look, the thumbs up put us on the leaderboard. We have made the leaderboard all but one time in the last 7 shows. So if you guys could and you enjoy this content, please hit the thumbs up on whatever platform you're on, whether it be the YouTube thumbs up or the pill.net red pill, especially the Rumble, which is the one we push the most over here. That's where the largest amount of people watch this show live and on replay. If you could hit that thumbs up, the goal is like 700 likes. If we hit 700 likes, we hit the Rumble leaderboard every time, and I get to hang out on that board with people like Dave from News Trees and Abs and Stormy from Eye of the Storm and all the Badlands crew. So it means the world to me. That is the best way you can support the show. So with that being said, dude, let's get into the debate stuff. So I know you guys touched on this on your show, Paul. I think I have 1 or 2 that you guys did, but I also have 1 or 2 that you didn't. And let me find my channel here, because I didn't put this one over to my pre-list because I had already uploaded it to Telegram. Did you see when he pulled the Bible out? And I'm talking about Walz right here. Walz, whatever that is.
No, I didn't.
Dude, would you think that Walz would talk about his faith?
If that dude's talking about his faith, he's trying to project.
Hold on, I'm almost there. I'm trying to find it. Thank goodness for Rev DQ, because I can't be up 24 hours a day, and Rev has been helping me with my channel. Here it is. All right. This blew my mind. When I heard this, I'm like, what the hell? I'm not going to give my take yet. I want to hear what you have to say. Listen to this, dude.
Days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to it.
What? What? What are you thinking?
I just remember all them times in the 80s, folks like Jim Baker and Jimmy Swaggart were speaking from the Bible too, and we know the truth behind those guys. So
can you look at it from the perspective as like, dude, you just upset the whole insane, crazy left.
You just pissed off the entire left by bringing up the Bible, bro. Even the look on Vance's face was like, what? He did the double take to his left and shit. He's like, wow. All right, dude. Just keep shooting yourself in the foot.
He's like, I don't talk about my faith very often. Well, yeah, we know why. And then you go ahead and do it right before you get steamrolled for 2 hours.
Bro, I'm just saying. Look here. Let's take a look at this real quick, because this is the last time I saw a communist take an ass beating like this on TV. It's a reenactment of the debate right there, friends.
I don't know if you know, but I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan.
Me and Barbara are as well. I love the Rocky movies, especially that one, just because you see a communist get the absolute piss beat out of him to end that movie.
By a hard-nosed South Philly Italian wearing American flag shorts.
Right. Which in the filming of that movie, like Sylvester Stallone ended up in the hospital for a couple weeks because him and Dolph Lundgren had come to the agreement, when we're filming these scenes, we're going to punch each other because it needs to appear real. Dolph Lundgren tagged his ass so hard in the chest, he bruised Sylvester Stallone's heart and put him in the hospital. In case you were wondering if Dolph Lundgren can actually fight, which he can. He's actually a trained boxer and martial artist at this point, and apparently the dude's a freaking astrophysicist or something too. Like, he's not dumb. So went on a little side quest there just from watching Rocky. That's what happens when me and Joe start watching Sylvester Stallone shit. Sorry. And Sylvester Stallone is also America First and a Trump guy. What's not to like?
Yeah. Plus Rocky. Plus the Rambo thing. In case everybody's unaware, Alphavets is a show that's also out there on the internets. I absolutely love Alphavets. We have had our disagreements, but those dudes are thorough through and through. Abs, Alphavets, one of the members made me this flag here. He actually made it for Donald Trump. Where we go one, we go all. It says 41020 here at the bottom. He actually made this for Donald Trump, and he wasn't able to give it to him. And so he decided to give it to me. Absolutely love this. I've been stopping in their show in the mornings. I think they're on at 10 a.m. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't even know why I was saying that. I love this guy. So
we were talking about Rocky and
oh yeah. So the other guy on that show named me Rambo because I was a moderator on their show 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago at this point, and I would always use Rambo memes, and I use the Rambo memes because my favorite part about the Rambo thing is like what happens. I can't believe Rambo's not in the drops, to be honest with you, when you think about the message from Rambo, because it's what happens when the guy that just wanted to be left alone gets involved. And I believe that's what everything the drops encapsulate, right? So we're supposed to be waking up the silent majority that wasn't taking responsibility for the government that was enslaving them. So now what happens when all of those people that just want to be left alone get involved? It's literally the Great Awakening.
Yeah. There's nothing more dangerous on this planet than a man who just wanted to be left alone to live his life and take care of his family, deciding that it's time to no longer go down that path and you've got to fight for your family. There's nothing that gets awakened in an individual more on this planet than somebody who just wanted to be left alone and now they've got to get involved in a fight they didn't want to be involved in. That person's not going to be easily defeated ever, because they've essentially killed them old selves. They've committed suicide to their old self. They've put that body in a grave. They're never going to visit the grave, because what they're going to have to do to move forward is so far removed from who they are. It's done. And that's what we're seeing here. That's partially what the Great Awakening is. Jolting people out of the slumber, out of the comfort zone, out of the areas where they feel safe to get up and fight and save this country. Because if you don't do it right now, you're not going to have a place to feel safe in this country, or the world for that matter.
Could not agree more. And okay, so let's go to my second clip from the debate, right? So this is when I realized early on that it was another 3 versus 1 spectacle that we were watching.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. You have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have...
One app has not been on the books since
1990. It's something that gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
No, we can hear them.
We want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
All right. What's your take on that?
Oh man, my first take is that Nora is mentioned in Q Drop 1515, the one where Q outs all the mainstream people that are being controlled and paid. So that's interesting. I love that. I love that JD Vance was like, nope, I'm talking here. Just wouldn't. He's like, all right, well, since you guys aren't supposed to fact check, I'm going to go ahead and fact check you. And then she tries to get snarky and says, well, thank you for giving us an update on the legal process. And it's like, yeah, that was the point, because you're not following it at all. And he just put that shit on blast. It's one of the many moments of Vance backhanding Walz all night. And I even saw some Anons throwing shade like, oh, look at all of you acting like the debate matters when all of this is going on with Israel. And I'm over here like, what if I told you my brain can focus on more than one thing at once? And it's our job as creative and independent journalists to pay attention to as much as we can. So I get it. The shit with Israel is going down. Israel's being put on Front Street. We're at Israel for last, but maybe put away your Jew-hating hard-ons for a little bit and recognize there's more going on in the world than just Israel.
All right, look, I'm a very it's no secret that I'm a trust the plan type of dude. It's no secret that I'm very positive, right? We could literally be getting hit with it. Like, I could have been in the position under Black Mountain or whatever it is in North Carolina, and I would have been like, we're good, don't worry about it, we got what we need, we're gonna get through this. Like, I'm a very positive guy, but when I look at this, I think Forpog, and I think central casting, and I think that we have just now seen exactly why these two dudes were put in the positions they're in, right?
Yep.
Vance spoke out heavily against Donald Trump, even after Trump was president, and that comes along later in the debate. But this dude is calm, cool, collected. He is strong everywhere that the mainstream media would tell you Trump is weak. He was respectful. He was inclusive. He agreed when he needed to agree. He didn't snap out, right? It was literally, it made up for everything the mainstream media attacked Trump for. And Walz turned right around and did everything that they called Vance. He was weird. He was awkward. He was unlikable. It was freaking brilliant, bro.
He came across as the grandfather that you go to visit and you start checking the watch 5 minutes after the fact. You're like, holy shit. How much longer do I have to hang out with Pop today? I can't take this. Oh. Whereas Vance came off as completely likable, really intelligent, very well spoken. I mean, that debate, I said to my dad, and I don't off the immediate words here because I'll explain after the fact, but I said to my dad, dude, Vance did a better job against Walz than Trump did against Harris. Now, I say that saying I'm pretty sure Trump did everything he did in his debate against Harris purposely, and that everything he did was with a purpose for that debate. So insofar as the debate game plans, I enjoyed Vance's debate more because it just felt more like I'm going to stand up here and just go for your jugular with just about everything I say. And I'm going to leave you stuttering and stammering and looking around and wide-eyed. And he mopped the floor with him, dude. There was, when Trump picked Vance, I was questioning it. And now at this point, I'm like, yeah, I kind of like this dude. You know?
I agree. I don't know if this is true. I'm going to go ahead and believe it's true because I don't think Mays 65 would say so. But with a $10 Rumble rant, Mays said, it's probably nothing, but I think it's curious that Karl Marx's housekeeper's name was Helene. Did you know that?
What? And I also know one of the name translations for the name Helene is "May God be with you." So there's that too. And then there was an exact storm in 1958 named Helene that became a hurricane on September 24th and became a Category 4 on September 26th. That one didn't make landfall; it stayed out in the Atlantic, but still kind of weird, man. Still kind of weird.
May 65. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to look into that. That is intriguing to say the least. That's actually really intriguing. Huh. I'm going to look into that. So here's the next one. I can't believe that this name hasn't caught on. Abs, I think you guys played this, but I'm going to spotlight something differently than you did. Let's take a listen.
So appreciate that. So if you notice what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
that's a
show
gross
that he
generalization.
did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend rise in take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on healthcare then.
Senator, Governor.
Please.
Look, that guy's name forever to me will be Whack-a-Mole Walz.
The entire time Vance was laying that down, Walz is over there like this. He's like, oh shit, he's right again. Oh my God. Oh, he's hammering me. Like that dude was terrified to be on that stage with Vance. Either that or he was just as jacked up as Kamala and Biden were on their debates. But my God, what a terrible performance, dude. He looked like the freshman getting lit up by the senior in high school debate class. You know what I mean?
I will say even this debate was more entertaining than watching Joe Biden catch flies, as Donald Trump said. I don't think he even knows what he said.
Yeah. It was entertaining at the very least. And Vance came out looking like $1 million after the fact, man. I mean, before that, I was supporting Vance, obviously, because I trust Trump, you know, but, before that debate, I had my questions insofar as, okay, well, after, 2024, as we move toward 2028, even beyond that, where does Vance stand? Where does Vance sit? And that, for me personally, I don't know about how you guys feel, how you might feel, Rambo. For me personally, that debate performance made him feel a hell of a lot more presidential than he had to any point before that debate, except for maybe just teabagging Kamala on her own tarmac, walking up in front of Air Force Two and saying, just taking a look at my new plane in a couple months. The debate really kind of solidified him as a serious, hey, maybe this guy is going to be presidential material after Trump. We were told Trump 2.0, and people have to remember, what was the first thing Biden said about J.D. Vance when Trump picked him? Biden said, great, he's just chosen a Trump 2.0 as his vice president.
Bro, great minds, okay? Because my next point was going to be, as of right now, there is nothing but Trump. There is no answer but Trump. Trump is the answer. Trump is who you vote for. Trump is who we go vote for. Period. Right? Let's just play. Bear with me, guys, right? I mean nothing more than what I say. But let's just play with the idea that the bullet was 2 inches to the right. Right? And first of all, y'all know that I don't think that that's true to begin with. But let's just play with the idea. Who is the answer after that? Because right now, MAGA, America, against Marxism and communism and everything that we're fighting against, the child trafficking, on and on and on. The only answer we have right now is Donald Trump. The only thing you could come close to adding to that would be Don Jr., Barron, right? We have nothing else right now. We have nothing else but the Trump family. For a moment there, I agree with exactly what you're saying. This could potentially be what happens after an almost 80-year-old Trump saves the republic. There has to be something after it.
Right.
Look who showed up. Boom. There he is looking. Bro, you are looking sexy as hell.
What a day, man. They finally got my parts in and they're still working on the bitch.
My man. How long do we have?
3 hours and they just got the parts in.
Where are you that it looks that pretty outside?
He's in Florida. That's just how Florida is.
Wherever I'm standing, it looks fucking beautiful. That's the answer.
My man. All right, that's awesome. How long do we have you?
Oh, they just got to it, so I got all freaking day.
My man. Okay, well, we were going through some of the debate stuff here first. But once you got here, I wanted to get into something that Dave from News Treason sent me. But let's keep going. If I got time with you, we're going to keep going. So I think this might be the last clip I have for the debate. I don't even know which one it is after that conversation. Let's listen.
Congress. Those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So
womp womp.
Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Awkward.
Thank you, Governor.
China, huh?
That was the last clip I have from the debate. It was just super awkward, him getting caught lying. Joe, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he seems like an actor in the movie to me. You know, you just don't go on a national stage and say, hey, you know, I'm freaking buddies with shooters, and, you know, hey, I was in fucking combat when I wasn't, and hey, you know, just it just is like the Bidenitis without being senile. It just seems choreographed to me. And like I've said the whole time is, you know, if you believe that you know, we slotted Biden in, and Trump's on record saying that Kamala was, you know, his #1 draft choice. So that seems choreographed. So if you add those two things together, then yeah, she picked somebody choreographed too. So, you know, that's where I'm at with it all. It's just too ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to end it there, but you brought it up, so we got to listen. The dude literally 2 times says that he's friends with school shooters.
Opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time.
Who says that?
All right. And then afterwards, Rev DQ found the quote where he's connecting Sandy Hook and David Hogg. So afterwards he was asked about what he meant by this. And he said, well, what I meant was, you know, I've met with the parents at Sandy Hook, and David Hogg is a good friend of mine too. We talk about like gun control. So he shoots that into the conversation, and he connects Sandy Hook and David Hogg. So Sandy Hook, I think the 3 of us agree, was a staged situation. And Don Jr. has said that David Hogg is nothing but a crisis actor. Hello. Okay.
So, Abs, do you have thoughts before I show you guys something?
I just love how both he and Kamala Harris made sure to shine light on the fact that owning a gun is a good thing in this country in both of their debates, despite the fact that they're so anti-gun. They both made sure to know that owning a gun is okay. It's kind of crazy how that worked out.
They have them, yeah. They have them.
Right. It's all, I wish somebody would have told us guns were safe. You know, I wish somebody would have given us that assurance. Yeah.
Freaking love you guys. All right, look.
Is the back? Can you guys hear the background noise? Is it bothersome? Should I mute it when I'm not talking?
Very little. I can hear.
Yeah, very little.
You're good.
It's okay.
Hey, Joe, who do you have on with you here so far today? I don't know who that is though. Paul
right
something?
now? Yeah, Paul something.
French guy.
Yeah, he does a Q show, I think.
I'm pretty sure that guy that you're asking about does a Q show. I'm pretty sure he's partners with the other guy that I look up to just as much as him.
I'll accept the compliment. I'll accept the compliment.
Joe asked that question and then froze.
Right. He'll be back. He'll be back.
He'll be back. Well, I want to tease. So I don't know if you guys picked up on this or not, because like I said, you guys go on well after my bedtime. And I, especially on Thursdays, I like to catch up on your shows before, but I ended up on the show or on the phone with sponsors and some other things. As far as the business end of this is concerned, just in case you guys aren't aware, this is not a 1-man job. It's a 5-man job. And when you're doing it from the beginning, you have to do all jobs by yourself. So I ended up having to take a care of a whole lot of the business end of doing a show, Abs. So tell me if you guys picked up on this. Did you see what Alina Habba said?
I try to see everything Alina Habba said. What'd she say this time? Because are you talking about the Q heiress thing? If so, yes, I've seen that.
Well, the Q heiress thing, yeah. So let me show that. Let's show that. Okay, so this is old. This is not a new thing, if I remember right. This is like 2, even 3 years old, right? Stormy Patriot Joe, I'm bringing up the Alina Habba comment. So,
I'll feel free to bring up anything from Alina.
You two are so funny because you guys said the same thing about Cassidy. All right, hold on. So, for anybody out there that isn't aware, Alina Habba is a personal attorney of Donald Trump. Back in the day, at this point, we're talking 2-3 years ago, I took this screenshot personally. This is Kash Patel posting, "What on earth could this guy and Q's heiress?" Now, this sent us all on a bit of a scavenger hunt because heiress means like the heir to the throne, like maybe her father or whatever might be Q. The way it was written, that's the way we took it. So we searched and searched and searched, and we came up with some weird answers, the Knights of Malta and some other things, but I don't think that's relevant right now. What's relevant right now is that Cash wrote that the Q account, which was on, do you guys remember, was that Q account before Trump on Truth Social?
Yes.
It was, right?
I think the Q account was there from the get-go on Truth Social.
Yeah, it was like the original account on Truth Social. Okay, so yesterday, now this is a big tease for tonight's show on Dave's channel because we talked about this yesterday. Please go watch that show on Dave's News Treason show tonight because we addressed this as well. But here is what Alina said. Now, to me, this was a huge spotlight of what it is she's going to talk about.
Enhanced background check.
She's a hunter.
To get data, but here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow.
Who's she hunting, Jack? Kamala's a hunter, everybody.
So Kamala's a hunter on an exact Delta, Stormy Patriot Joe, and Absolute 1776 of Red October. Hunters become the hunted. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Not a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys shared that yet or not, but me and Dave found that super interesting. So
yeah, I think we're starting to see, we obviously know there's the less than 10. I think we're now starting to see a lot of people that have potentially been read in on parts of this or have parts to play, because there's been so many of these people from, say, outside the less than 10 that have been smacking the board with these comms like this, just like we just saw with Habba. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that we're seeing a lot of people kind of, quote, activate, as it were.
What are you thinking, Joe?
I don't think she said that by accident. You know, and she's connecting Harris as part of the show, basically, with all that. So I love it.
Yeah. All right. Where do I want to go? Well, we did the debate. We talked to, let's just go right down the line. Let's check this clip out. Let me bear with me here. I'm bringing it up and go.
Another long list of sexual misconduct allegations. He's in jail awaiting trial on charges of trafficking women for sex parties and has pleaded not guilty. Houston attorney Tony Busby says he represents 120 people who say Combs abused them as well. He spoke out Tuesday on the disturbing claims.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old.
Whoa.
We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
Combs' lawyer says he denies any claim he sexually abused anyone, including minors.
Crimes against children will unite all humanity?
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly this went from abusing other rappers to, oh, he was abusing children. Go ahead, Stormy. That's all I had to say.
So I made a I think an interesting connection yesterday. I posted it to my Substack. Was so I think the pattern here was that lawyer came out and said, not only are we going to release big names, and some of them already been turned over to the FBI, but we're going to identify entities, and he named banks as one, and he went on to explain that to do these human trafficking things and get hotels and do different things, they had to have large bunches of cash and kind of have it be moved around in a hidden way. So he said, so we're going to be naming at least one bank in his findings, right? So I went looking, and turns out that Diddy did all his major mortgages, which he probably doesn't really need to have a mortgage, but he's down here in Florida. His mortgage on his property down here was like $23 million. And that one was with Bank of America. And so was a few of his other places, Bank of America. So the guy says, that lawyer says on TV, hey, we're going to be naming a bank in this whole situation. And so then Diddy has the relationship that you could look for yourself with Bank of America. And what happened yesterday? All hell broke loose with Bank of America. They had, all their accounts went dark. People were going on their apps and seeing zero balances. So it kind of seemed to me like they were trying to do a cleanup after that attorney came out and said that.
It's unbelievable. What's so unbelievable is that this is all happening at the same time with, what do we have, 32 days left until the election?
33, I believe.
33. Unbelievable. Joe,
and you guys are live to vote now, right? In Pennsylvania, is can you vote early right now as we speak, or?
I'm not sure. I still have it bred into me that I need to go to the ballot box, even though they hand us Sharpies. they do. I'm going to film it this time, for sure. I'm taking microphones with me, and I'm going to film it because I can't possibly grasp the concept that it's even close here in Pennsylvania. I drive down the road. There's a billboard 150 yards from my house that just says "Vote Trump." It's huge. Right? It's not the only one. They're all over the state. Meanwhile, we just named a highway 3 years ago, the Joseph R. Biden, whatever. I just can't possibly. The people do not agree with what I'm seeing from the population, and I'm from Philly. Even back home, what I'm seeing from the population does not coincide with what's coming out of the television. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to film the whole thing. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to talk to everybody I possibly can and get everybody to watch. But I'm going there on election day, whether we're open now or not. It's just kind of been bred into me. So what are you thinking?
I was thinking I needed a sip of coffee.
I saw that.
North Carolina's early voting, I think, starts this week or next week, but I'm not going early. I'll be going the day of as well.
Well, let's sidebar this for a second. Do you guys think we're going to get there?
To the election?
Yeah.
Getting kind of close for the rug to be pulled now, but I'm still kind of with Stormy. I think something's going to happen either a couple days before it or maybe a week before it that pushes it back. Stormy's had some really good takes on stuff coming out of this Dominion case in Georgia and a couple other things in comms that seem to be pointing toward we might see a delay with this thing, and I tend to side with him right now, man. I'll say this. I don't feel 100% confident that the election is going to be on November 5th. So I'm paying attention to that gut feeling right now.
Well, Joe, before you go, I've been watching you and your missile comms, and it seems to me that you have now predicted the future again. As we've seen the missiles in Iran, I tend to go to you when I want to know what's going to happen tomorrow because you've been so good at it. And I agree. I don't think the election could possibly happen traditionally. General Flynn talking about black swans, so many comms about black swans. Now we're looking at this strike on every port on the East Coast, the Diddy stuff. It's just all piling up at this very last moment of the 33 days we have until election day. So do you want to talk a little bit about your missile comms here? Maybe give a summary and let people know how you saw what was coming? Uh-oh. The second I asked it, he froze again. Stupid, beautiful weather.
Right. God forbid that sunny weather and beautiful temperatures and
Joe, we're going to, well, this is the price you pay. Look, I'm just happy that you guys are both here to be able to talk about these things. Let's give him a few minutes and we'll fill some airtime until he gets back and hopefully can answer the question. Because the next thing I was going to bring up was actually one of his posts I saw from this morning. Did you see this, Abs? Trick or treat. Hillary Clinton insists Kamala Harris is in for an October surprise that will derail.
I did.
Bro. I think this fits right into what I wanted to ask him. So Joe wrote, like we find out that she's not eligible to be president, like Trump and his lawyers has said going back to 2020.
Oh, how amazing would that be, dude?
Trick or treat. Hillary Clinton insists Kamala Harris is in for an October surprise. Derail campaign weeks before election. She was speaking before damaging revelations emerged about the potential future first gentleman, Doug Emhoff. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I'd say, and of course it's dasting that Hillary says it, right? I mean, I've been saying as well as Stormy that if there is a switch, and again, we're getting a bit close to the finish line right now for any candidates to be switched out or for anybody else to end up on the ticket. It would be damn near impossible to print all the ballots with the new name on it at this point, so forth and so on. But I don't put anything past these fools. And so the fact that Hillary's the one saying this, maybe Hillary does, in fact, snake her way in there somehow. I've gotten further away from believing that's going to happen, especially with being about a month away from the election at this point. I don't think it happens at this point, but the overtures are out there for sure.
I've been sticking to my guns on this one, bro. I think somehow, some way, some shape or form, Hillary Clinton gets shoved back in the spotlight so that we can come full circle and end these drops the way it began. And it gives me that I'm right.
It's the perfect villain to end the story. It's the perfect villain to end the movie, man. It's Lex Luthor and Superman. You know, it's Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. It's Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. I mean, it's the perfect villain to have end the movie. That's admittedly, and as weak of a reason as that is to get on a hill is something for an anon. That's kind of why I'm on that hill, because, you know, we're watching something that has more overtones of being a movie than not. So if you're the one writing the movie, you want to have the perfect ending with the perfect villain. And Hillary's the perfect villain, dude. That's I'm right there with you. The only thing giving me hesitancy is how close we are to the election at this point. That's the only thing giving, because I can't see in my head how they make that happen unless the ballots they've already printed already have Hillary's name on them, because this was going to happen. Who knows? But I don't think we're done with the election, man. I don't think we're done with that story.
Joe, did you hear my question before you froze?
Yeah, let's go through that next Thursday. You know, it's really complex, and it would be better if I had my materials to send you and bring it up and walk through. And there's actually some more of it that I haven't even you know, presented yet that I've been working on. So let's roll through all that next Thursday. Is your work schedule okay for next Thursday, Joe?
Actually, no. Next Thursday is the one I can't.
Okay.
Next week I'm day shift, Monday through Thursday. So this last month was weird. There was a couple I couldn't only because of outage, but outage is over now. Next week is the 1 week scheduled where I cannot do Thursday.
I will say that Hillary, I posted it. You can pull up my Twitter if you want. I posted it a little while ago. That Hillary said, yeah, Hillary said, look out, there's going to be an October surprise that's going to derail the Harris campaign. Okay, so you know, if you're on the same page with us that Hillary's part of the show at this point herself, you know, connect the dots from there. And I said in my tweet that it's not me or Abs or Joe Rambo saying, it was Donald Trump and his attorney back in 2020 who said Kamala Harris really isn't eligible to be president. So I tend to think that's still a freaking possibility. I don't know. But I personally think there's going to be an election on 11/5. I think there's going to be a whole lot of fog until the whole end of November is what I'm seeing right
now. I think what you're saying is logical. Yeah, that post you made this morning kind of blew my mind because it fits into everything I believe. I think this ends with Hillary. There's two things I'm looking for personally. One is still the tweet. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I want to see my fellow Americans come across Twitter so bad that it hurts. And second would be that Hillary Clinton publicly gets extradited, arrested, whatever it might be. The way the drop started, I would like to see it end, right? That's what I want in my heart and soul. And there's your post and a lot of what we're seeing kind of points that that's a possibility.
Yeah, I kind of think she wins on election night. You know, if we have an election on November 5th, I think she wins on election night. And I don't think it's going to be like 2020. She's not going to win, and we're not going to go through these weeks of everything hanging in the balance, wondering what's going on. I think that she wins and stuff gets pretty quick. I think that it'll be really evident that something's going to happen off the rip. Like I just can't envision a better way to snap everybody awake. Have Trump leading the polls heading into the election, have Trump and Vance dominating the debates, have Trump and Vance dominating the positive news headlines, and then she still wins the damn election. That'll pretty much wake everybody up instantly en masse. And those that don't wake up at that point are 4 to 6%, because I think most folks with a brain at this point can see the way this thing is heading. So, but I'm right there with Stormy. If this one is stolen on that day, it ain't going to last long, and we're going to see something happen. She's not going to make it to Inauguration Day. I don't even think she makes it to J6.
I agree. All right.
Although Stormy, real quick, Stormy had a really good take on the J6 thing too, potentially being a mirror deal. Maybe that's Stormy. You want to explain that real quick, dude? I don't want to mess it up by speaking for you.
There's certain things about J6 that make me feel like it was a precedent set. Okay. So, if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, where on election night or the day after, they're trying to say, oh, it's a toss up or she won or all this BS. But then we got to come in and really prove it and rip it out from the normies. And Trump is installed, good luck. Good luck going to, going to storm the Capitol and try to do anything to physically do anything. Because now the precedent has been set. You come on those grounds and you try to do anything, you'll be dealt with swift and quickly, as the Q drops say, So right. I kind of think almost everything that we've seen the past 8 years has been a boomerang effect.
I tend to agree with you. And I actually switched up what clip I'm going to play next because of what you guys brought up. So Jack Smith has re-entered the scene, right? And Jack Smith's now saying that Donald Trump committed crimes to try to overturn 2020. Well, it seems to me that almost every case was not seen because they said that we or he didn't have standing. So 2020, as much as it's thrown in our faces that it's always been thrown out of court, it has never truly been tried. And this whole thing with him, it seems like it's now setting the stage for 2020 to be tried. And this would not be the first time that somebody mentions the word discovery. But if Donald Trump actually gets charged with something criminal having to do with 2020, how am I not to believe that the evidence would finally be presented? Right? So here's the clip. Here's just a clip of what's been going on with Jack Smith.
Now from the Trump campaign on this release of the special counsel Jack Smith's unsealed filing right now. This is Stephen Trung, the Trump campaign spokesman, saying that the release of the falsehood-ridden, unconstitutional J6, referring to January 6th brief immediately following Tim Walz's disastrous debate performance, is another obvious attempt by the Harris-Biden regime to undermine American democracy and interfere in this election. Deranged Jack Smith, again quoting from the spokesman in Washington, D.C., radical Democrats are hell-bent on weaponizing politicizing the Justice Department in an attempt to cling to power. President Trump is dominating, and the radical Democrats throughout the deep state are freaking out. The entire case is a partisan, unconstitutional witch hunt that should be dismissed entirely, together with all the remaining Democrat hoaxes. This again from a Trump campaign spokesman. Of course, all of this back and forth on redacted material that has now been made public from Jack Smith's investigation, born of a Supreme Court decision that said essentially actions by a president in office, you can't touch them. He is untouchable for that. It's not that black and white. Katie Chakowski here to remind me it's not that black and white, but good to go to a lawyer who knows these things than certainly an anchor reporting on these things. So, Katie, what do you make of this? A whole 165 pages out here. We get some interesting revelations, but anything new or anything that changes anything for you?
Well, I think there's really no question that this is Jack Smith's only real opportunity to try this case in the eyes of the public before the election. And that explains this robust factual section rehashing all of these things about January 6th and the aftermath that pertain to this indictment. But at the end of the day, the immunity decisions about where the line is drawn for what conduct and what evidence can be used in the prosecution of a former president is still highly unprecedented. We have the initial ruling from the Supreme Court. This is the government's first attempt to argue why their indictment as amended should stand. The defense will have a chance to respond to that. And then ultimately, the judge will make a ruling. And that ruling, if it's not favorable to the defense, is immediately appealable before this case would ever make it to a trial. So this is just a last-ditch effort, in my opinion, by Jack Smith to get these facts back in front of the American people.
Then by getting in front of the American people, Judge Hutchinson was saying essentially it had to be all out there. You had to see everything that was in there, including the material that heretofore was redacted or we didn't know was in there, right?
Well, there is certainly an importance to focus on some of the facts to argue whether or not they fall inside or outside the lines of official conduct. But one of the reasons that the issue with the Supreme Court came down so heartily on the side of the defense is because an American president, when they're in office, is essentially never really off duty. So to draw the line between what's official and unofficial is a very nuanced practice. I think there are certain things that you could look at if there was a president in office and let's say they were accused of domestic violence or something like that. Clearly an unofficial act, but when you're getting into acts of the government and other officials and conversations with other government officials, I think that's going to be a very fine line to walk. And the Supreme Court is ultimately going to be the ones that are going to decide where it is drawn before any of these cases can make it to a trial officially.
You guys take whoever wants to go. What are your thoughts?
Interesting color jacket she was wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all about more exposure about this commie lawfare, all of this stuff. You know, this case is obviously going to torpedo before it goes anywhere against Donald Trump. But in the meantime, you need to expose all the dirty tricks that they like to use to try to get people. You know, just as we're seeing with Tina Peters today being sentenced in Colorado, the judge has already called her a danger to the community. He's probably going to throw the max sentence at her, and she didn't do anything wrong. So you got to highlight this stuff so it can be handled. You got to put it all out there so it can be righted. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Jack Smith is obviously an idiot clinging to straws. It ain't going to work.
What do you think, Joe? You there, Joe? You're muted.
I think it's all optics. Obviously, nothing's going to happen before the election. So, you know, it tends to be what this formula of the plan is Donald Trump is the only one person that can save the day. You know, we got to keep him from being attacked by lawfare. We got to keep him from being attacked by, you know, different events. You know, he's the only one who can get Zelensky and Putin to the table. He's the only one that could stop the border crisis. He's the only one that could stop gas prices from going over $5 a gallon, which they probably will be by election day. All these things always boost Trump in the polls across the board. And really, it's not about polls at this stage. It's, you know, it's just about awareness and waking people up. But it tends to be the format, the playbook on our side is you know, Trump is the one that has to save the day, and I think he's going to.
I agree with you. There's an aspect I want to bring into the conversation. You got the Crass and Douche twins and everybody like them that are out there in the Twitter sphere and out in the wild talking about you could never vote for Trump now, right? The walls are closing in this time. It's the whole battle between good and evil that we see in the mainstream media, the fifth generation warfare battlefield as it is, where it tends to put at least a shred of fear into our side, and it seems to fuel the what I believe is dwindling extreme left, a level of confidence that is just absurd to me. It's almost unbelievable, and I wonder if that's the point. Do you think that psychologically, like Psych 101, the masses are seeing it the way that I am? Because I don't necessarily think that the masses see things the way that I do, or the way that you do, Joe or Abs, right? So I question it when I'm seeing it, because the Crass and Douches are legitimately out there telling everybody, you can now no longer vote for Trump again, right? It's not the first time they've said it. But do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
It's I just think we've reached this inflection point where nearly as many people are awake as all of us are going to be able to wake up. You know, so it's going to take some external stuff to get the rest of the people the rest of the way there. But I just really think we've kind of reached a turning point, an inflection point in all of this, where the boomerang's really starting to happen, and you're just going to see people waking up in droves now, man.
Yeah, thought, Joe?
Yeah, that's you know, there's going to be more things to come from here to November 5th, but you know, that's where all this is happening. You know, look for some really big events in the next week, I think. You know, I'm not gonna speculate what, but have a couple ideas what could be. But there's big things on the horizon, and we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But in the end, I truly believe he'll be inaugurated come January, January next year.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so let's throw in the other huge talking point that is going down as we speak right now. Let's take a listen to this.
And things happen after dark. We know that. War happens after dark. I will also speak with Republican Congressman Brian Mast, who volunteered with the Israeli Defense Force. Stay tuned for that. Fox News alert now. Americans are already struggling under the crushing weight of high prices on everything, especially food. And now bracing for the effects of a massive port strike. It's on. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Tens of thousands of dock workers from Maine to Texas are picketing for the first time since 1977. Their contract expired at midnight. They want big wages and guaranteed job protection from automation. Because when things are automated, you need less human beings. The Port Workers Union chief negotiator, well, he has a lot to say, and he doesn't hold back.
When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are.
Well, he's not wrong about getting us our stuff and how critical a role they play. We could really feel this. And how we got here, where is the White House? You fight when you have to at the White House to keep stuff like this from happening. Is Biden, is Kamala Harris, are they up to the fight? Let's take a look at the crisis that's upon us now, because this administration is almost famous for how many times they can let a crisis happen because things went on too long without leadership. Some 45,000 dock workers at 36 ports from Maine to Texas are on strike today. A JP Morgan analysis found this could cost the U.S. economy $5 billion a day. Major retailers to small businesses are also preparing for supply chain disruptions. We could see shortages of some critical items, medical equipment, vehicles, food, clothing. And if you think the inconvenience is going to be bad, imagine how you're going to have to pay for those few things that are coming through. Stuff's going to get higher if this goes on too long. Despite all of it, though, President Biden says, well, nothing. He's on the sidelines. The White House has said he would not invoke Taft-Hartley Act. That act allows the president to order an 80-day cooling off period. That gets us way beyond the Christmas holidays and into the new year for a fresh look at what the union and the corporations are fighting about. That would avert a strike at this point. The White House, well, playing dodgeball, you know how it goes. Let's watch.
At what point would the president be willing to intervene? How long would he allow that to go on, and at what cost to the
I'm not going to get
American
into
economy?
hypotheticals. I'm not from here.
Would the president consider walking the picket line?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. We believe that collective bargaining is important here. We've always said that. We believe that both sides should come to the table in good faith and get to an agreement, a fair agreement.
I thought she said she wasn't going to go into details. Fox Business's Grady Trimble is at the port of Baltimore, one of the many that we depend so much on. Grady.
And Harris, just to set the scene for you today, there are around 2,400 International Longshoremen's Association members at this particular port. You can see a group of them on the picket lines in the rain, not deterred at all by that. 45,000 members across ports from Texas all the way up to Maine on strike right now. And what that means for you and me is, well, you can see the effects of this strike. These cranes you see in the background are the cranes that these men and women would typically be operating, but they've walked off the job and now they are at a standstill. That means products coming into the United States from all over the world are also at a standstill.
So is it me, or is this going to force folks to realize that maybe we shouldn't be manufacturing so much shit outside of this country?
It's a good point.
Like I said at the top of the show, dude, I don't think this has anything to do with wages or automation. I mean, I know that's the reason being put up front, and I'm sure it's playing a role. I don't think that's this. Go back to the top of the show. Hillary mentioned Pizzagate, human trafficking, all of that a couple days ago. Then the strike happens. I think the two might be linked, man. And Joe and myself pointed out some funny little coincidences with Daggett as well, such as his relationship with Trump that's went on for a few years now. The fact that his house is worth $1.7 million and he has a 76-foot yacht. That's 1776. His house is 7,136 square feet. That's 17. It just seems to me there's way more with this one than just striking over my wages and automation.
What are you thinking, Joe? You're muted.
Yeah, obviously look at the timing. So, on Eye of the Storm, we've talked about that right before Election Day, there's going to be total chaos, that we're going to have aggression and disruption in the Middle East. We're going to have aggression and disruption with Russia and China and here in the States. And we're going to have crazy gas prices. This affects not only gas prices, but everything. We think that inflation's been bad for the last 4 years. Wait and see what this does for the next 4 weeks. So everything possible with the border, with food, with gas, with lawfare, with international, aggression, everything is going to be like, who the hell is running this country? Where's Joe? Where's Kamala? And you're going to tell me that, that she somehow wins with all that going on? No way. No way.
Yeah. Rambo, if you don't mind, can I, this actually just happened. I wanted to play this because this goes right into all of this port stuff. And this what he says bangs Q stuff. Let's take a listen real quick.
In my direction, the Florida National Guard and Florida State Guard will be deployed to critical ports affected to maintain order and, if possible, resume operations, which would otherwise be shut down during this interruption. Florida Department of Transportation is coordinating calls with seaport rail and trucking partners to ensure that all are prepared and positioned appropriately to limit disruptions to the supply chain and other areas should this continue. I'm also directing Florida Department of Transportation to temporarily waive the collection of tolls and other fees for commercial vehicles using public highways in Florida and waiving the size and weight restrictions normally governing vehicle transportation for the duration of this emergency. This will help expedite the movement of goods that have been impacted from seaports to intermodal logistics centers, distribution centers, and delivery points, and very well may help offset additional costs incurred by operation during this period. Finally, I'm directing the Florida Highway Patrol to manage the flow of traffic from all Florida seaports and adjacent roads and highways as needed to further expedite the flow of goods that are currently being held up. This will include the provision of law enforcement escorts for commercial motor vehicles by FHP officers upon request. And I would say that this is something that would have significant impacts on the nation's economy anyways, but to have this happen in a way that could negatively impact people that are reeling from a Category 4 hurricane, that is just simply unacceptable. So it really is incumbent upon the Biden-Harris administration to do everything in their power to ensure that these goods are where we need to be.
Kind of interesting. The National Guard has entered the picture in conjunction with the port strike, huh?
Very. Now, let's take a step back and look at this whole thing, right? So you have the garbage debate, which makes it look like the whole, Kamala presidency is what it is, which is BS. You got the flood, and you have tons of people in trouble. We have child trafficking, human trafficking, Diddy, right? Big deal. Jack Smith is now attacking Trump, and now we have this strike that could affect everyone. This is all happening right now, and those are just the main talking points. There's even more. Do you guys remember early on in 2021, shortly after Joe Biden was inaugurated too early, after DC was caged in by fences and barbed wire, after we saw the wrong gun salute and Lady Gaga dressed as the Hunger Games sing the national anthem, we had a very large disruption in supply chain. Now, this was pure speculation, but it seemed to me that Donald Trump signed these executive orders, 13818 and 13848, that were a large talking point at the time. One has to do with seizing assets of any foreign entity that affected or tried to mess with our elections. And the other one had to do with human trafficking, right? So now, at that point in time, I thought there's no way that the global infrastructure, as far as supply chain went, isn't being disrupted because of the stolen 2020 election. I have no proof of it, but that's what it felt like to me. So now that we're seeing the same thing going out of 2024, which would be, if we all look at the drop, note the past 2 years, note the next 6, pre-planned, Patriots in control. You knew the battles we faced, right? I'm paraphrasing, but you guys know the drop. Now I'm looking at messaging with here, I'll even show the picture. Me and Dave talked about this. Again, if you want to see more in-depth about this, go watch Dave's show tonight, where I was a guest. But evergreen all over the screen, right? Costco. And I'm thinking, if I thought it was 13818 the first time, why wouldn't I think that if they're showing this messaging? Look, what's Hillary Rodham Clinton's Secret Service code name? It's Evergreen, correct? Am I right, Joe? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So now am I not to believe that we're watching the same type of disruption going out of this, what I believe to be Joe Biden's PSYOP, Evergreen being messaged across the board, I'm already thinking that Hillary Rodham Clinton is going to have something to do with the final stages of this process. How am I not to believe that we're still looking at human trafficking and election integrity? It's the same topics. It's been the same topics the whole time, and it's literally what we need to accomplish. We need to get figured out before we can have our country back. And they're literally messaging it to us. There's definitely, in my opinion, these are just dots that are all there, and I'm connecting them through discernment. There's no legitimacy to it yet, but it feels like there's more to it than what we're being told. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, there's no coincidence that, Q talked about, think about ports, watch California, watch New York, and now we have all this going on at the prefaces of, right here at the goal line of the election. I think it's all coordinated, and it's exposing, so many different things. Like Ab mentioned, if we just built these products in America, we wouldn't have to ship them. That's number one, America first. And everything to do with these shipping containers also ties to what's going on with Diddy. He happened to have that property that's right across from how they were transporting these kids all over the place. So it all overlaps and connects, and it's not a coincidence to me. And I do think there's going to be another hurricane. I wouldn't be surprised if another hurricane comes right through on the Atlantic side and goes right over DC. I wouldn't be surprised.
Abs, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And not just that, but anything happening over the next month, man. There's a lot coming from the port strikes, certainly. There's a lot coming from the lack of response to the hurricane. There's a lot of wake up going on right now. So to me, the cause of these events at the moment is kind of irrelevant. What is relevant is the effect from the events, and that is seeing a lot of people wake up, a whole lot of people wake up to realizing the government doesn't care about them, to realizing the government doesn't care about America. They don't care about America first. And Joe nailed it. If all these things that we're having shipped in were made here, then this strike wouldn't be as big of an issue. If FEMA and the government were doing their jobs, then there wouldn't be so many people destitute and without hope in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. So like I said, who did it is far more irrelevant than what's coming out of these situations right now. And you're seeing a lot of people wake up. And to your point, Rambo, like I said at the top of the show, how come every story, I won't say every story, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but let's say 75% of these national stories that are coming out about the port strikes are featuring pictures and or video of the evergreen containers. It's like I said in my Twitter post a couple days ago, you don't think they called her evergreen because of pine trees, do you?
So,
and right as I finish that up, a gigantic truck goes rolling behind Joe. That was perfect timing.
I know. Imagine if it said it right there. That would have been freaky.
If that would have been an evergreen truck, I legit would have left the studio and been done for the day. I'd have been like, all right, I'll catch you all tomorrow on a high the storm. You guys have a good one.
I would have walked home for sure.
Abs, before Joe got here, we were talking about, this has been a conversation all over the place. White hats are in control, right? Some of these very real events, you can use the assassination, you can use the flood, whatever it might be. I think that false flag doesn't necessarily mean fake, first and foremost. So let's just get that off the board. What's happening in North Carolina, Abs, you can attest, is very, very real. When I think of the term patriots in control, I don't necessarily, with what we're being presented, this is just an idea that I'm trying to bounce off of you guys. I don't necessarily think that it's pertaining to the event, where an event is very real, right? People lost their lives, their homes, their financial situations with what just went down with the flooding from this hurricane. That I think we can all grasp as a reality. What I do believe that patriots may be in control of is the narrative surrounding each of these very real events. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
if something happens, whether it be a Christmas bombing in Nashville, a shooting in Las Vegas, fires in Hawaii, the simultaneous fires in Canada, right? I can keep running the gamut. The train derailment in East Palestine, the truck that blew up under a bridge in Philadelphia. These seem to me to be very real events that are affecting our timeline, what's actually happening within this process. But what I believe that ends up happening right now, as we're in a state of 5th generation warfare, is the narrative that patriots are in control of. So how do you show the people? How do you expose the truth? Prior to what we're going through right now, much of the information was either held from us or we were lied to about. Whereas now, I believe that it's being presented to us in an amplified messaging type of situation so that we would be motivated to get up and take responsibility back. Does that make sense?
I don't disagree. And in essence, what you've seen with a lot of these events that have happened is white hats taking the black hat's strength and turning it into a weakness. For so many years, the black hat's strength was using false flags and then the attached narrative after the fact to control, mold, and shape society.
Right.
If you've taken the control of the narrative away after the fact, then you've taken away arguably one of their most useful tools. I certainly think we're seeing that at play, that when or if these black hats do something, whatever semblance of small bit of power they have left, when they do something, the white hats immediately come over the top and steal the narrative and boomerang it back in our favor. I'm absolutely in agreement there, man. And look, to add on, there are some of these events that have happened that I do think were put on part of the show, that it's all an act. I don't think all of them are, but I think far more of this shit's an act than it isn't at this point.
Well, I think that a lot of times we're watching, reference the drops, multiple movies play out at once. I think that we can see that happening at the border. To me, it's clear as day. The border is not just an invasion. There's multiple things happening down there. We can run the gamut of possibilities that are happening down there, but it's not just an invasion. There's sting operations. There's again, I'm not going to run through it all, but you see what I'm saying. I think that is going on with a bunch of this stuff, including the flood, including all of the hot button talking points we talked about on today's show.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm with Paul that, it's less about the why, it's more about the outcome. So, and I think there's even a drop that says something about, don't ask how, think about why. And that's really where my head's at. There's a lot of big things going on, and the further you get away from the event, the more kind of clear that it seems to be. So, like I've done polls since 2019 or so. Do you believe that's the real Biden? And I do it every 6 months. Every 6 months, more and more people have figured out that A, it's not the real Biden, and B, whoever that is, we are controlling. Those have steadily increased over the last 5 years. And some of these things we're never going to know. We'll probably never actually even have proof that what I just said. But a lot of these big events, the further away you get from these events and the emotion and everything goes away, you kind of get the feeling, whoa, shit, that was, a lot of necessary things had to happen for that. And that's where I think a lot of these events are going. So less about the how, more about the why.
Okay. All right. So here's the last thing I want to show you guys. We talked about earlier. Big fat hat tip to Dave from News Treason sent me this right before the show. I don't think anybody's seen it yet, unless you're live on Twitter. Patriots in Control posted this. Cassidy Hutchinson says America needs good Republicans like Mitt Romney to step up and endorse Kamala Harris. This woman has to be a plant. Everything she says is laughably ridiculous and makes rhinos look worse. And why is she whispering? Okay.
I don't know why so. Well, thank you for having me back on your show and the opportunity to be here with you all today. In short, I wish that I had a straightforward answer to your question because it's something that perplexes me frequently. I don't know why so many Republicans, specifically the men, are still cloaking themselves in cowardice, especially in the face of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. the Republican Party is something that is completely unrecognizable from what it once was. But we do have faith in our leaders like Liz Cheney, who has stepped forward, and Adam Kinzinger. There are still good Republicans out there who are trying to salvage what's left of the party, but we need more people to step forward. We need more people like Mitt Romney, who would be willing to make a decision to endorse Vice President Harris for the presidency. This is a moment that is so much bigger than a political party and our allegiance to a political party, which led to my decision, which wasn't really even a decision once I had thought about it pragmatically, about to endorse now Vice President Harris, but once Mr. Biden as well, who also displayed remarkable leadership in passing the torch to the next generation of leadership, which is something that the Republican Party also cannot do. So I'm really grateful for the leadership of Liz Cheney and people like her, of Nancy Pelosi. And I have a lot of faith in the future of our country, but we do need to do more in order to come back from the current state of politics that we're in.
What the F?
Go ahead, Stormy.
So who did we have endorsers so far from the Republican side? Dick Cheney and Liz, and who else? All the people that we drag out as you know, as booted out rhinos or just straight out demons. And you think that's effective for Harris? Nope. Yeah, and what was up with her? Was she doing a Harley Quinn novel there? I don't know what she was doing. I don't know. It was kind of hard to hear where I'm at, but man,
it's
weird.
unbelievable.
Yeah, you can bring up the post and read it.
All right, so here's the post, 4958 from 6/29/2022. What is at stake? Who has control? Surprise witness in caps. Who was surprised? Who will be surprised? Use your logic. Can emotions be used to influence decisions? How do you control emotion? Define plant. How do you insert a plant? Can emotions be used to insert a plant? Who is Cassidy Hutchinson? Trust the plan. Q.
Okay, so I had you know, a take on this, and I've showed it a few different times on Eye of the Storm. So if you remember the story before that drop, was she was the one that said that, like, oh, Trump, you know, he took the wheel of the beast and was demanding that, like, you know, they do all these weird things, like, and you're like, what is all that? And it was all about like J6 and all this stuff. And then when she finally got to the stand, she totally reversed everything she said and blew up the whole testimony of that Donald Trump was enraged and telling his driver to do different things regarding J6 and all this crap. So that was the Q proof in the biggest way. So Q told us right there that she was our person, our plant, and watch what she does on her witness testimony. And that was a huge, huge Q proof. Not only a huge Q proof, but it was a huge 2022 Q proof. And for anybody who still doesn't understand that the 2022 Qs are from the same team, that was a massive proof right there that they are. But yeah, it's no surprise to me that she's in here doing this weird stuff. You know, part of the show. You know, like I'm saying, is it helpful? Is it helpful for people to see Dick Cheney and you know, Liz Cheney and all these losers, you know, say that they want Harrison? No, that only in Biden, you know, fortifies the Trump, the MAGA movement even more.
What do you think, Abs? You got thoughts?
I agree. I agree. I clearly think she's a plant, and like Joe said, everything they're trying to do to damage Trump or look like everybody's against Trump is doing nothing but galvanizing the movement further and putting more support behind Trump. It's classic boomerangs everywhere.
Yeah, that I found that really, really funny before the show. I'm gonna look more into it, but man, that's hysterical that she comes out whispering and it's so funny. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I have 4 people to say thank you to as far as sponsors are concerned. Will you guys hang out for a minute while I do that so we can find out where to find you guys and all that stuff?
Sure.
All right. Let's let's start with. So I'm going to let you guys all know that I made a short interview, long commercial version that I am going to pin to the top of my Rumble page. If you guys saw it already, as there's been maybe 3,000 of you or so that saw it, this right here is the short version. This is the show version of the commercial. But David Becker has been nothing but kind to me. He absolutely 100% made sure that I can make it to GART this year. So I wanted to do him a favor back in supporting what he does. And that's why I made that 8-minute video that you guys will see pinned at the top of my Rumble. So with that being said, this is his short version of saying thank you for sponsoring the show. So Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance. Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Fall is the time of year when insurance companies send out their annual renewals and rate increases. For many, the high cost of medical insurance is about to get even worse. David Becker and his son Jesse of Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance are here to help you get the best possible PPO insurance coverage at affordable rates. If you think the cost of groceries has exploded, you should see what the hospitals are charging these days. Without the proper PPO protection, you could be liable for tens of thousands of dollars in the event of surgery or a hospital stay. Since 1990, Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance has helped individuals and small businesses get access to nationwide PPOs, which cover both in-network and out-of-network charges at every state. Having a great nationwide network like Cigna will help keep your costs down at a minimum. If you're stuck paying your own medical insurance, call David for a free quote at 609-577-8557 or visit www.midatlanticba.com. Look, that dude is a patriot through and through. Do you guys know David? I'm sure, right? You guys have been to guards. I'm super excited working with him.
David is awesome. I've told the story before, but his wife provided me one of the funnier moments I've ever had at a GART in GART, Dallas. I'd met David before, but never met his wife. And he introduced me to his wife, and she's like, should I know who that is? And he was like, yeah, it's Abs. And I turned sideways so she could see my side profile as it is when I stream. And she's like, oh yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's really funny. All right. Well, actually, Patrick Gunnels just showed up on the show the other day, and I will say that you guys reacted. I got one negative comment that he showed up on the show and gave us a live in-person commercial for Tulip Blooms. But Patrick Gunnels did an amazing job because so many of you, I mean, seriously, so many of you went and supported not only this show, but Patrick Gunnels and Patriots through and through. So if you go to tulipblooms.shop, tulipblooms.shop, you will find all of these amazing products that Patrick Gunnels has put together. You will support this show. You will support him. Patriot products made here in America will not get stuck on a shipping container. But I was thoroughly impressed. There was like 10 sales instantly after he came on and did that. So I highly encourage you guys to go do that. Again, you'll get something amazing for yourself. You get to support Patriots, and you also support the show. So that is tulipblossoms.shop. And he's going to be coming on the show here. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but he's on my list. I'm going to tell you guys, everybody that's coming up here shortly. Of course, mypillow.com. You can stand with Mike Lindell by shopping at mypillow.com. Save up to 80%. Just use promo code Rambo. All right. So that's going to be it. Oh, I took the wrong thing off. Sorry, Joe.
Jeez, dude.
You're back. Yeah, so those are the guys that are supporting the show. Please do me a favor, support them. It's hopefully going to get me to be able to get to the point where I can do this full time, as that is. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not. That is absolutely my goal. I love doing this. I love hanging out with people like you two. All right, so thank you all for letting me do that. Do you guys want to, Joe? Let's do this first. Why don't you support or show everybody where your Substack is? Tell everybody.
Yeah, it's Stormy Patriot Joe at Substack.com, I believe is how you get there. But so, when I made a decision to do this full time, that's basically that and I the Storm are the only two things that are trying to float my monthly bills right now. So if anybody has ever gotten anything from me as far as of value in my posts, my videos, my time and effort, you want to say thank you, this would be the best way to do it, is to join the Substack. I'm doing it like crazy. I'm posting pretty much every day through it. So any takes I'm getting, that's really the first place I'm putting them, and then I'll put them on socials after that. And I'm splicing up the shows too, because not everybody can carve out. You know, we go on Tuesdays 4 hours sometimes, so not everybody can carve out a 4-hour time. So when I do is I splice it up. So if there's a particular topic in a show that you wanted to see, you can just jump right to that topic. But and some fun things too, things behind the scenes that in my personal life and things like that. So I'm having a great time with that platform, and looking forward to it. There'll be another Substack put out tonight.
Oh man, absolutely, that's awesome. Abs, with you being such a video editor, I would love for you to tell everybody where they can find you on Rumble.
You can find my Rumble at rumble.com/Absolute1776. I put all my stuff over there. I'm on Twitter at RealAbs1776. Telegram is the same, t.me/Absolute1776, and same over on True Social, although I use True Social less just because my phone doesn't really enjoy it that much, and I always have some kind of issue posting videos or graphics over there. So yeah, that's where you can find me, of course, on Eye of the Storm and the other shows I do. And to add on to what Joe was saying, you know, I'm on the very same way as Joe. All of my content on my Twitter, on my Rumble, on my Substack, all of it's free. I don't put anything behind a paywall. If you want to subscribe and help me out financially, that's always welcome, but it's not an obligation. And yeah, you guys out there have really kept us afloat and helped us be able to do this. So I always say it on Eye of the Storm, man, my gratitude is immeasurable. And I thank you guys all from the bottom of my heart for your support and your love and all the kind words and everything, man. The followers out there really are the best. When Q posted, not one of us is above another, that was straight up 100% honest. Not a single anon is above another. I don't care if you have 1 million followers, if you have 500 followers, we all have a role to play here and we're all doing it.
Yeah, I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm pretty sure it's public, right? You guys have, I sure hope I'm right. You guys have what's become one of my very closest friends in Enoch coming on your show soon, right?
Correct. October 22nd.
Dude, the anonymous world is going to explode to have you two together with Enoch on one show. I cannot wait to watch that. It's going to be awesome. I love that dude.
Yeah, dude, we have a pretty awesome 3-week rip of guests coming up. This coming Tuesday, we have Captain Seth Keshel coming on. We're going to be talking about all kinds of election stuff. It'll be his second appearance on the show. And I've done work for Captain Keshel for over 2 years now, man. Me and him have become pretty close friends. He's a really, really good dude and one of the most upstanding patriots in the movement. The week after that, on October the 15th, we have X22 joining us. That's going to be huge, man. And then the week after that, we've got Enoch. And this is all leading right up to the election. So you guys make sure you tune in on those shows, man. The Enoch one, I'm like a giggly kid before Christmas. That's just going to be Q proof after Q proof after Q proof. That's going to be the episode that if you want to refer friends back to just over the top prove that Q is real, it's going to be that one, man.
Dude, how cool is that? So I don't know if my list is that cool. No, they're just as cool, right? Nobody's above another. But
well,
let me
you have us on, so that tops all that.
No, that's true. I'm actually just as proud of my list. I want to let everybody know what's coming up here shortly. So Sean Anon is scheduled for tomorrow. So Sean Anon will be here. The Friday after that, Carly Bonet will be back for the second time on the show. Super excited to hang out with her again. She was a blast the first time. That girl is awesome, right? So Carly will be here. And then right after Carly, Red Pill 76, I'm sorry, will be here with Dave. So Dave from News Trees and I are going to get to interview Red Pill. For me, that is going to be the absolute honor of honors, right? It's just as big to me as having you guys on. I can't wait. The dude's a legend. It's going to be awesome. And me and Dave are going to interview him together. So I'm super excited about that. Sheriff Mack will be coming on as we're going into the election. I think that what he has to say is very, very important.
Yes.
Patrick Gunnels is going to get his own show. The dude is a salesman through and through, but I'm more interested in hearing his woo stuff, right? Flat earther and things like that. I can't wait to hear his background. And then, of course, Patel Patriot. We haven't secured the date, but we have agreed to do a show. I plan on having him on as soon as we can figure it out. right after that list of 5 amazing shows. So it's going to be great.
And so you're sitting here like, I don't know about my list, and you just broke out a list with some of the most OG anons in existence, and it's a pretty good list, brother. What are you talking about?
List,
You
dude, right?
get Zach and Carly. I mean, Zach is, look, any dude that rolls around wearing shirts exclusively featuring parrots holding ARs has my vote of approval. That's a fact. Those are gonna be awesome shows, man.
Yeah. Red Pill. I'm really looking forward to Red Pill. We got to hang out together, Abs, you and I, and Red Pill, and John and Patriot on the Liberty Den on that last Friday night. And man, it was such an honor. And for Red Pill to say that he would come on the show, I jumped right on that. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
There's one I forgot, and it certainly wasn't on purpose, but I want to get him on quick before we get out of here. So kofeficoffee.com. Also part of me being able to win my son in this battle that I'm going through. But talk about Carly. There she is right here. Julian's Rum, who was for a while there a part of Badlands. A ton of great Patriots. Look, there's Boone Cutler, Brian Cates, SSG, Awaken Outlaw. It just goes right down the line. Brenda is a huge part of my Telegram page. She helps me do everything there. So there's Enoch, who's going to be on your show. There's a ton of great Patriots involved in this project. Of course, I want to see you guys buy Rambo Roast. But if you go to kofeficoffee.com, that is the last sponsor that I'm glad I didn't forget before we got out of here. So thank you for supporting that. Do you guys have any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Just my usual, friends. You know, stuff's getting hairy and heavy out there. I know the energy and the vibes are a little bit heavy, and it's a lot to deal with. We're all kind of dealing with it right now. So just keep your chins up, keep moving forward, and keep fighting. Keep your relationship with God wide open, your communication with God wide open. Stay strong in your faith and convictions, and just keep moving forward, friends, no matter what, especially right now, a month before the election. Just keep moving forward. Patriots are in control, and God wins.
Joe, you got something, buddy?
I think Trump's coming on, right? Isn't he supposed to speak pretty soon?
Yes. Yeah, it's part of the reason I want to get out of here.
Yeah. So I don't know. You guys can jump over to Trump, I guess. You know, you heard from Paul and I and Rambo. Throw in some Trump. No, we look forward to it. We're gonna be live tomorrow night on Eye of the Storm, 9 p.m. Look forward to see you guys then.
And look, I will see you guys at GART very, very soon. And Abs, you guys are going to Reawaken Tour, right?
Yes, me and Barbara will be at the Reawaken Tour in North Carolina as well.
I get to see you twice in a month. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy, man.
You're going to be sick of me by the end of that.
I doubt
All
it.
right. Last time I'm going to ask this, but I got it. You guys are almost at 400 over here. There's 1,200, almost 1,300 people watching on Rumble. Please hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed the content today. Please stop back and hang out with us tomorrow as we get to chill with Sean and On, one of my favorite Anons. We have a lot in common when it comes to our addiction issues, and the conversations become very, very real. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Please hit that thumbs up on the way out of here. Much love. We will see you. Peace, guys.